All right. So, wow, what a bang up night. What a really good night. And no coffee, no Moscow mules at the end. Donovan's gonna start cleaning up his act. My pants, I've had to buy new pants because Donovan's getting a little older and a little bit heavier in the hip area. I want to say it's all the gains. It's hip muscle gains. My glutes, in my late years, my glutes are still swole, on swole. All right. So accuracy is the bailiwick of the right. Not only is this shown through just the literal thing of Rittenhouse being able to be far more accurate, to have literally a level of accuracy that it is astonishing. And I mean, people train years to be that accurate under pressure. And so one of the things that where really everything, so accuracy being the bailiwick of the right, this is something that I've had to bring up over and over and over and over again, especially on Facebook. Just put an article, put something, and accuracy is the bailiwick of the right. The left is notoriously inaccurate and just simply dishonest. People who are on the left should know you are expected to be a liar. People who are on the right expect you to just be making things up without any kind of citation. That you whatever numbers you have, you got them from one source, or it's the same numbers all that got them from the same source. That you never looked to see maybe I'm wrong, and that's one of the most fundamental things about it is maybe you're wrong. Maybe you are not, the information you have is not accurate. Well, we really, to a great extent, this is also something that goes along with COVID, is we really are seeing the Darwinian test of, can you even read the box? Everybody who thinks that masks work, it says that they don't on the box. It always did. It always said so on the box from the very inception of all this. I took the Red Cross course for first responders, so I knew those masks didn't work, and they're only for being used for about 10 to 20 minutes in a surgically hermetic environment. Surgically, at a surgical level environment, that level of consistent cleanliness. So one, there's that, just the ability to just read. And we're finding out, no, that's beyond liberals. And that really, I started to really think about my upbringing and the liberals, like the people who later in life I think of as people who they got all emotional and effeminate over BLM and Antifa and all this. And what I really started to find is that these were the kind of people who cheated. They were cheaters. They were people who cheated their way through school. Or there's something about them that I realized, oh, you don't really read nonfiction. Like you really don't have interest in nonfiction. Like you like living in a fiction. You like living in a fantasy world. Usually created by pop culture. They're a part of some subculture like hip hop or hippies. Or with Antifa, it's anti-fascist skins, anti-fascist punks. And that's one of the most out there fantasy worlds. Like that's literally one of the groups of people that it's like you either meet somebody who's kind of stone cold sober in their mindset from that world, or you meet people who are way fucked up. And I know this from being around that scene for a few years before any of this happened. And meeting these guys who, that's the kind of people they hung with. And then when shit went one way or another, they left town, and they would end up in some new place and talking about all the stripes they had from the days that they used to fight the Nazis in the street and blah, 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 blah. but it was, a lot of these people are way fucked up. So, one of the things I started to have to think about was, in the long run, and it's already happening, is the accuracy issue. And that's going to end the left to a great extent as a kind of social phenomenon. Because now you're starting to see it. People that they have no interest in maniac politics. They have no interest in maniacs. And that now they're at the stage that it really is like, yeah, now that I understand how I was misled about this case in Kenosha, now they're looking at all this and they're being like, I can't ever be associated with the Democratic Party again. Is what I mean. I'm seeing this on Twitter from people that they're and it's the beginning of something that I think is going to keep happening, is the utter horror as people start to figure out, wait, the right was basing what they were saying on accurate information, but it was just incomplete information. A lot of this about, say, the all the sexual stuff and the left. This is based on completely accurate information that people have gotten from the internet. Often it has to do with news stories that we started to see the pattern. We started to see the criminal pattern in the behavior. So especially a lot of people who would assault children, we started to find out, the right started to find out, like, no, a lot of these people have all kinds of odd sexual proclivities. Like, the more you look into this, the more you find these are people with odd sexual proclivities, and they think that there's some wonderful thing that they're doing for the world by, like, engaging young people in some way about sexual intercourse in ways that are absolutely nobody would ever consider appropriate for, like, a straight man to say this to a female of that age, or to do something like that. And so then we started to find really the information about, like, how the public school system and the teachers union was really protecting a lot of these people, was really protecting a lot of perverts and a lot of weirdos. The teachers union was especially making sure that you had no accurate or it was very difficult to ascertain what precisely had happened between a student and a teacher. And then the other that really, I think, is, as time goes on, I think this is the one this is going to mess with, I think, people way more. I think this is the end of feminism is going to be as people start to confront, why is it that there's so many female school teachers who are child molesters? And are really, really, really way too into the idea of talking about inappropriate subjects, sexual subjects with children. I have to make sure to say, when I went to Catholic school in the 80s, we had the Family Life program, and the Family Life program lasted about, I think, almost 3 or 4 years. It was a very long course on family formation, biology, sexual intercourse. It was the big Catholic sex ed course, and it was very, very, very well put together. It was extremely well put together. It was, I mean, what I got in public school when I went to public school is as at a magnet high school. So I went there, I had to apply to go to this public high school. And that high school had an absolutely laughable sex ed course. Laughable. And, no, sorry, there we go. Oh, there we go, that's better. Get those fucking things off. All right. And so, that was something that I never forgot about, was how in San Francisco, California, if you went to Catholic school in the 80s, you got better sex ed education than if you went to one of the flagship high schools of San Francisco, with, honors society, like this big deal school that they would try to get everybody. I was put into courses so that to kind of short course to get you toward college prep. It was one of the ideal college prep schools, honestly. It was one of the schools that I was like Lowell High School, that it's like it was fundamentally designed for college preparation. And so that and the fact that, like, back then they had terrible sex ed. And this wasn't this simply, that would have been by that time the 90s. There was no, this was not some era of like, oh, he said penis. Oh, no. Sorry, that's not what was going on at the time. No. It's just that it was public schools are run by the left and they're run poorly. Period. And so